297. Yeah, same for the 我哪一位拿给我忘记了？Oh yeah, thanks. 所以说你刚好到 Okinawa 去，是什么样去3天2夜啊？是全家去吗？是全家去吗？还是非常私密的行程？
看你有没有看过路？就是要对。
Yeah, 297. Yeah. Yeah. What is the section? We have done this. Variable sample size has done that, and then the activity. The operating. 这个吗？7.2.4 Yeah, is that correct? Or 7.2 Yeah, let me check. Alternative probability model for 72还是73？7点多少？7.3 OK, 7.3 Thank you. This is something different. Yeah, okay. Yep, okay. Yeah, we have done this and the alternative probability model for count data mu. Okay. So we mentioned this. The p-parallelity, yeah, this is p-chart. We've done this. Okay, control chart for non-conformity. 7.3. So a non-conforming unit does not satisfy one or more of the specifications. So that will totally different. This is sheer difference between the defective item and the defects. Okay, so a non-conforming unit does not satisfy one or more of the specifications. So that is to say, if the product is defective, which must contain one or more defects. However, a defect is not necessary to cause the product to be defective. Can you get it? 就是瑕疵品一定有很多的瑕疵，来造成它的功能的什么失效。但是我一个瑕疵会不会造成瑕疵品？不一定。就像汽车，比如说我的烤漆中间，烤漆那个侧边有一些不太均匀，或者是中间有一些颗粒，它是有瑕疵，但它不一定在功能上会有造成损害，所以它可以当做次级品来卖。Right? So defective must have a defect, have a multiple defect. However, the defect is not necessary to cause a defective. So each point where the specification is not satisfied, that is a defect or called a non-uniformity. So non-conforming units contain at least one uniformity. That's what I'm talking about, the difference between defective and the defect. So however, units with a defect are necessarily non-conforming. So 这句话告诉我们说，假如说我们中间有一个单元、单位或产品，它是有瑕疵，但是它不必然是瑕疵的。Okay? Then it is often useful to work directly with the number of the defect, like this. So it is possible to develop the control charting techniques for either total of the non-conformity in a unit or average number of the non-conformity. 我这讲过了吧？我记得，这我们讲过，没有？这个这讲过了吧？哎妈，我记得在遥远的雪梨，我记得讲过了，这讲过了。有时差，有时差。对啊，我觉得讲过啊。这讲过了哦，这个也讲过了，这中校的，看，这个讲了，这个也讲了。You okay right here, right here, 是不是讲到 you 对不对？cause effect 也讲对不对？读完 ，Figure 7.15。讲吗 ？No。我记得讲了，讲过了，在那边我记得讲。Choice of the sample size 没有吧？有没有？没有。Okay, example 7.3. Okay, however, so we're going to start here. The second approach involving setting up a control chart based upon the average number of non-conformity per inspection unit. So there's an induction unit. We would like to calculate what is the average. So a unit, so we might take a sample. Sometimes the sample size varies from time to time. So we like to take what is the average non-conformity per unit. So we find X total non-conformity in a sample of N. So it's totally how X represent what is the total number of the defects or total number of non-conformities divided by the sample size. 哎，你没有照到，你都没有照相，很可能你等下自己出来跳。
我好啊，做好。你要说跳什么？
跳，我们要跳的不一样，我们刚刚跳过了哦。然，哦，等下那树给他。给他树。And then we find X a total non-conformity divided by the N inspection unit. Sometimes the N varies from time to time. This time we will take a sample of size 3. Next time we take the sample size 5, and so on. Then the average number of non-conformity per inspection unit is X divided by N. This is defined as U. So this is called the average non-conformity control chart. Then, and this is the Poisson random variable. Consequently, the parameter of the control chart for the average non-conformity per unit can be represented by this, since their mean and variance are identical. So we directly take the 3 standard deviation divided by N. So control chart for average number of non-conformity per unit can be represented by equation 7.19. So mu bar right here represent the observed average number of non-conformity per unit. Then control chart found based upon the 7.19 will be regarded as a trial control chart. So that is called the U chart. Okay, 7.4. This is an example, so we're going to skip that like this. So totally we have a sample size the same. Sometimes we are lucky enough every time we have the same sample size. Sometimes so it is not. So total number of the errors, so directly x mu I is equal to xi divided by n. Then right here. Right. if this is a lower than 0, sometimes it happens. So which will be defaulted. We go to setback at least equal to 0. So number of defected cannot be negative. So like this is a 0.1894, and this is negative. However, there's no sense to this. The number cannot be negative. So we should be set up or set back to 0. So since a lower control limit is less than 0, we set back to 0 for the U chart. The control chart shown in this figure, most of the point. The prelim data does not exhibit any lack of the statistical control, so all the point is quite random. Does not show any particular pattern, and all the point fall within the upper control limit and greater than the upper control limit. So what is the lower? We set back to 0. Then, so once again, note that although the process in control average number error per shipment is still high, sometimes it's still high. So the action must be taken in order to improve the supply chain system. So sometimes the defect, so like the component is only one of the cell phones, like the TFT LCD touch panel, or connectivity or charging system, or the camera module, or the PCB module, or the battery module. Typically, the final assembly consists of over at least 200 components. So each time, in order to improve that, the whole supply chain should be improved simultaneously. That. Yeah, this is another. So we already gone through the poem. Okay, page 298. So, as we noted in chapter 3, this is a fundamental of the binomial distribution. The geometric distribution can be useful for model count even, or event data. So this is 0 or 1. So either one. So this is called Bernoulli trial. Yeah, I believe my spelling. I'm not quite sure it's 100%, something like that. Then Bernoulli, this is Bernoulli trial, and if we combine multiple independent Bernoulli trial, which form a geometric random variable. This is noted in section 3. So propose a control shuffle count by using the geometric distribution. So probability model that used for the geometric distribution, like this. So x is equal a plus 1 plus 2, and so on and so forth. So a is the known minimum possible number of events. So so this is probability. So a is a number of the defect. So those observations are, well, independent. This is assumed and the IRD. That is known as IRD. So observation are independent and IID from geometric distribution when the process is stable. So we assume under the condition of stability, then these two statistics can be used to form a control chart like this. So T mean total, x1, x2, every time. So sample 1, this is the number of the defect found in sample 1, sample 2 until sample n. So we sum them up, so the average, this is the sum them up and the take n is the sample size, so x bar is the number, the average number. So it turns out that the sum of independent, identical, distributed geometric random variables. So we assume this is a geometric random variable. So either one, it is a defective or non-defective. So this was useful information in constructing the OC curve for the calculating the ARL. Since geometric quite straightforward, we would like to calculate the probability for geometric distribution, which is quite straightforward. So then the mean and of the total number of the event shape, so can be represented like this. Okay, so you can check that. So this is the n, this Q, and divide by p squared. This is a total number only. This is geometric distribution, and plus a, and so the mean and variance of the total number of events phase and can be represented as this. Okay. So my check, hold on, yeah, let me check the chapter 3 geometry. Hold on. What is that? And P divided by N. So let me check. Hold up. Yeah, and so please turn to the page 87. Page 87. The equation 3.19 and the 3.20. This is mu and sigma. So this is R divided by P. This is no. The geometric should be also negative binomial geometric. What is the geometric? Okay, normal. The negative, so 1 over P. Yes, 1 over P. This is M total divided by P squared. So this is negative binomial when R is equal 1 over P. This is some adjustment, and then the variance is N. This is R. 1 over P. This is 1 over P divided by P squared. And however, this is the sum, total sum. So this is N. So this equation are derived from the negative binomial distribution from page 84. 它这个公式就是从这个84页的公式3/18到3/20把它倒过来。来 come back to. So the mean and variance of the average number events can be represented as 1 over K plus A. This is kind of called this is adjusted correction term. The 1 over P and P squared. Consequently, control chart can be constructed in the usual manner by in terms of the Schuhart chart. The published in 1992 is quite old. So this is upper control chart, and this is a lower control chart. So like this. This is center, total number of the event, this is called the G chart. Average number of the event, this is called the H chart. So however, it is not that useful. I just telling you, there's alternative approaches. However, it is not quite frequently used in practice. 这在实务界比较少用，我只是说告诉你这个案例。So why I should tell you this? So sometime in the future, you might get a job as a QE, we call the quality engineer. So once if like to solve the problem, you encounter a practical project, sometime which will involve. So you might try different control charting technique for evaluation to evaluate which one is better. So this is an alternative. Right? Okay, so so going to skip that since it is not that typically, this is a H, okay. Okay, variable sample size, okay. Let me review this this is example 7.5. Example 7.5. Okay, sure. Yeah, let me review this example. So control chart for non-conformity are occasionally formed by 100 inspection. Sometimes there's a sample, so going to take a sample out of the production line. So going to inspect every item within the sample, 100%. So when this method of sampling is used, then the number of inspection units in a sample are usually not a constant. Sometimes we take a sample which contains 5. Next time we take a sample which might contain 7. So each time sample sizes are different from each other. Then, for example, inspection of the roll of the cloth or paper like this. The square meter might be sometimes either rolling of the cloth. This is like a fabric or woven industry. So this is rolling. This is called the roll-out industry. Sometimes the inspection area changes from time to time. So like this, the number of square meter 500, 400, 655. So inspection rows of the cloth or paper often lead to a situation which is size of sample varies because not all rows are exactly the same. Like cutting the rug, 就像结大理石，对不对？比如说你们有机会到花莲去看，他们那个把大理石这样子挖掘出来，每一个尺寸都不一定要一样大。So sometimes we're going to do the inspection. So sizes of volume will differ. And if a control chart for non-conformities or C, we call the C chart, is used in this situation, both the center line and the control limit will vary with sample size. Sometimes it is so tight, its sample size is really big. So when sample size become really big, so the control chart will become really compact, right? Am I correct? 做好了，你快叠下去，你的书。对。Okay. Then, sometimes if the sample size really small and the control chart will get looser, will be loosened. So, yeah, it's quite dramatically changes between the variable control chart, upper bound and lower bound. Yeah. So so such a control chart will be very difficult to interpret. Then the correct procedure might be user control chart for non-conformity per unit. We divide by the sample size, and then this chart will have a constant center line. However, the width of the control chart might vary inversely with the square root of the sample size. So, and this is the average per unit, like this. Okay, solution. The center line of chart might be average, so directly. So this is the total number 153. So the average number non-conformity over the 50 square meter computed as the 1.42. So this is the ratio of the total number of the non-conformities. So the control chart on this computed from the equation, thus divide by n, this is replaced by ni, like this, by the ni, sample size, is ni right here. So like this, you can see that this is like a G-jogging seesaw or upper bound due to the sample size. Then this is a larger sample size, this smaller sample size. When sample size is reduced and it get looser. If sample size increases, so it shrinks or it become more compact. Like this is Ni, this is the average plus the 3 standard deviation divided by Ni. Since the Ni changes, so upper bound and lower bound, it varies from sample to sample, like this. Okay, this is computer generated from the mean time. Okay, another approach we use, the first of all, we use the average. So if we like to have a fixed upper bound and lower bound, we would like to use a standardization. Noted previously, the U-chart always used when the sample size is variable, so U must be used. The most common implementation we might consider use a standardization process as illustrated. So however, two other possible approaches. First one, based upon the average Ni divided by N. So totally we have different sample sizes. Then we take the average sample sizes and I divide by N. So average out all the different sample sizes. So this is the first one. If this is calculated, then conclusion. If the N is calculated, N bar is calculated, so we put down here, the Ni is replaced by N bar. So the upper bound and lower bound will be equal. The first approach. Get it? We take the average sample size. Since Ni has already replaced by N bar is a constant. Second, use a standardized control chart. That is a preferred option. So the option 2 is preferable with respect to option 1. Right? Standardization is they makes more sense to the option 1. So this control, this second alternative will involve plotting. 那个，你们家孩子怎么还不来？他不会来了。哦，他是怎么回事？哦，在家里不穿衣服。他是还常在练的，就整天涂黑黑在那边弄。他比较正常。他上次比完以后心情有没有受挫？没有。OK， involve plotting a standardized statistic is mu I subtract mean divided by standard deviation, mean bar divided by NI. So each time we have a different sizes. So we have a different standard errors. So sometimes standardized, so upper bound and lower bound will be equal to +3 and -3. It has been standardized. So on a control chart, lower bound turns out to be -3. Upper control limit turns out to be +3, and the center line. What is the center line? After standardization, what is the center line? Mr. Chen, you do not pay attention to my class. What is the center line, Yang Ding? Li. Why? Why? Hello, Mr. Tree. No, Miss Tree. Why center line is 0? Yeah. 为什么？我问为什么中心线是0？啊，不要讲这个啦，讲点比较正常一点。Why？ 标准化之后，中心一定是什么？0，对吧？OK， 要take a break。